Hello everybody, welcome to this long promised shearing video. I just want to say that I'm showing to you today only my own experience with shearing and what I found that it worked for me. So be free to comment on this post and tell me if you have other tips for shearing, things that might be better than my own ideas that I'm going to present you here. So I used again this dress that I hope to review here on YouTube. I used on the Sienna dress from So Over It. It has in the back has this beautiful shirred panel, and this was my first time shearing, so I was thinking to make this tutorial to show you how I did on mine. So if I did it for the first time and it turned out like this is the back, I think you can also do it with no problems. I used for my version, I used this elastic. It's from Prim, and this is how it's looking. This is the open what I have left, but I also used for the tutorial some, so I think it is enough if you have only one, but it's depending how thick is your fabric and how much is going to use when shearing. So this is what I used. I have also this one, which one is no big name. This is much cheaper, but I could find only this one at the moment when I was looking. So the color is not as important because you are sewing actually with the elastic only on your bobbin, so it's going to be on the back of your fabric and not so much visible from the front. Even this is completely sheer, so, and my elastic is blue. And in the needle you have a regular thread. So the most important thing when when starting with shearing is, of course, to wind your bobbin correctly. And I just want to mention, and I'm going to mention this again probably in the tutorial. On my puff, I can I'm using the 720. I can put my bobbin only on with the letters up. I cannot put it the other way because it's not going to fit in my machine, so I need to put it like this. So I need to be careful how I'm going to wind it. So I know because I check it out on the other ones. I have to thread it through this hole. This is on my machine. On some machines you have no hole on your bobbin. So put it here and then turn it. The most important thing is here not to pull. Oh, and one thing about elastic, if you have a spool with elastic that you have it for a long time, please check it before you start to work with it, because it can get old and not elastic anymore, so better to throw it away to take a new one. But do try it before you start to save you some time and tears. So when you start to wind this, just straight and with slightly tension, almost no tension, so don't let it to be really loose on your bobbin, but just a little bit of tension, good enough to make it stay on the bobbin. So not tight, don't pull it, you can see it, no, just a little bit of tension. This is very important. Don't do it on your automatic thing on your machine, because it's not going to work. It's going to stretch everything out of it, so it's not going to work on your final project. So this you continue, make it not too full, and then this is what I'm going to use on my machine. One thing I want to say before I'm going to start is that on my machine I have here, I just put a bobbin in it, so I don't have a bobbin case like some other machines, like the front loaded ones with the bobbin. So on this one I just put the bobbin into my machine, follow all the guides to be sure that the elastic is a little bit under tension, and then pull the elastic up with my needle thread and then start sewing. But I'm going to demonstrate it also on a mechanical puff, on a normal machine, which does have a bobbin case. And the problem with this the problem, not really the problem, but what it can happen, and I don't have a, let me see, I'm going to take one here out. It can happen that if you have problems with your shirring, this is a regular thread bobbin. If you have problems with your shirring, one of the problems can be that you get no, I put it wrong. One of the problems can be that you get that the fabric is not getting sheared, it's staying completely flat. But another problem can be that it's getting too much, that because the elastic is very much on tension and is not moving, it can get really messy, and you see that later in the video. And it can get a lot of fabric, and it's not going to work. So you have here a screw that you can loosen up if your elastic is under too much tension, or you can tighten it a little bit if you find that your fabric is not getting sheared. But I just want to say that if you have only one bobbin case, you need to be careful that how much you turn on this screw, because otherwise when you are going to use the machine again for a regular sewing, you might have a problem with your tension on your thread. I have on my machine, I have a spare one, so I'm using that one only for shirring, and this one I'm using it only for regular sewing. So it's the best if you have two, if you intend to do a lot of shirring. So this is what I had to say in preparation for this tutorial. I hope you'll enjoy it. It was really fun to do this. Also, one thing to say is that I am not making any markings on my fabric. I'm just following the edges of my presser foot. So left and right, they are on the same distance from the center where the needle is. So really easy to follow with the edge of my foot the previous row of stitches. And you'll see I'm back stitching at the end and at the beginning and at the end. And one thing more, I am turning every time the fabric. So if I'm here, if I'm sewing like this and I am at the end, I'm just pulling a little bit out the fabric from the needle, keeping very well at the last stitch, and then turn it and sewing back the other way. So like this, I'm saving a lot of fabric, a lot of tails, a lot of elastic from not cutting everything and making knots and all kind of stuff. So I hope you'll enjoy this video, and let's start sewing. Okay, to start I have my bobbin here. I don't know if I have enough elastic here, but we will see. I just want to say that on my machine I can put it only in one way, so it's very important to wind it correctly. I can put it in, drop it in. Very important, follow all the guides you have here inside or on your own machine, like you follow with threading with normal thread. I'm not going to follow all the way here because that is going to cut it too short for me. So I'm just going to try to pull it up, turn the wheel one time to get the needle down, and now I can put it back. And now I can start to sew. I have my stitch length, as I said, somewhere. I have it now on 3.5, but I can put it also on 4. The smaller the stitch, the less fabric will get gathered, of course, because you have lesser fabric between your stitches, and the longer the stitch, the more fabric it will be between your stitches. So, as I said, I'm not making any markings on my fabric because I'm sure I'm going to not be able to stitch straight anyway, because everything is going to get gathered and a little bit out of shape. So I'm just going to follow with the edge of my presser foot. I'm going to follow the previous line of stitches. And if this was a piece of fabric that it was supposed to be in a final garment, I'm trying to sew to stay in the seam allowance on the sides, and the starting, because this is something that a lot of people, including me, I was thinking what is the best way to start and to stop. Sometimes the advice is to start and pull the threads at the end also, and stop with the long tails, pull the needle thread to the back and tie a knot, but I tried also back stitching and it's working really, really well, so there is no problem with back stitching either. Let's see, I have my stitch length now on 4. This is getting to my... Okay, I'm just going to pull this slightly, keeping my eye here on the side to be straight. If it's gathering too much, it might be that my bobbin is a little bit too tight. That can happen. I'm going to back stitch a little bit here at the end, and I am not going to cut the threads. Lift your presser foot and pull your work really close to the last stitch, because otherwise you are going to pull the elastic all the way out or too tight or something like that. And now I'm going to, so I have my work out, but the threads are still here. I'm just going to turn it to the other side, align the previous line of stitches with my presser foot on this side, and just start stitching. Take a few back stitches, and then again, very important here to keep the fabric straight, to be able to follow this straight line. Of course, you can make the rows also closer to each other or more far away. The best is to test on few scraps, of course with similar fabric that you are going to use in your final garment, and that will give you the best idea on tension and stitch length and things like that. Now I can make a few back stitches, and now again, so here I'm in my seam allowance again. Release the tension. Okay, so I'm going to make just a few rows more. Again, start with a few back stitches and make it straight. Just in front of the needle every few centimeters. Now I'm at the end. Okay, come back at the end, needle up, and actually just pull a little bit and just turn it to the left side. Let's see, you can see this is because this is also such a small piece of fabric, is getting a little bit difficult. Let's see, a little bit of back stitching, and then again stretch it. I hope I still have a little bit of elastic. Yes, I just want to make a few more rows that you can really see how it's looking. Yes, and I hope I can get one more. It's really easy as long as you are following the edge of your presser foot on the previous row of stitches. Back stitching, presser foot up, and now I'm going to the other side. This is saving also a lot of time and a lot of thread and elastic to cut every time all the long tails, as you can see. And then start a little bit and again I'm following with my presser foot the previous row of stitches and try to stretch the work. I think it's looking pretty nice, even if I did not do any markings. And I think I'm going to stop at this row. This is really a small piece of fabric to do this. Okay, I'm going to pull the work up and I'm going to pull the threads again and relaxed cut it here. Okay, let's see. Oh, look how nice this is looking. I think it's looking really nice. And if you're going to steam it a little bit, it's going to look even nicer, because the elastic is going to get a little bit in shape, back in shape, and then you have this beautiful, beautiful shirred piece. I think it's looking really lovely. Yes, like this, you can see it. I think it's looking really, really nice. This is from the back. On the back you can see only the elastic, as you can see. It's not really necessary to have a matching color. This is the back of the work, and this is the front of the work. And as you can see, even if we did not make any, I did not make any markings, the rows are equal because I just followed the presser foot. I'm going to try the other machine and I'm going to show you how that is looking. I think this is looking really, really nice. So my tips: backstitch, turn your work every time when you are at the end, turn it to the other side. Is saving a lot of thread and it's very easy to do. You don't need to have a lot of hanging tails here. And also to have it equally spaced, I think the best is to use every time left and right the edges or on your presser foot, as long, of course, as long as the left and right are equal distance regarding to the point of your needle. So I'm going to put the other machine and show you that one. Okay, I have here an older machine. It's a mechanical one, and it has a front, I think it's called a front load bobbin or something like that. So the difference is that the other one, I'm just putting my bobbin into the machine and then I follow some guides there to get the tension on the thread. But on this machine, I have the bobbin case which is coming out of the machine, and then I need to put my bobbin into it, and I need to guide my thread behind this small metal thing. The idea is that when you are trying to shear with this kind of machines, if you have any problems that the elastic is getting that the tension is too much on it or not enough, that you will not get any shearing, then you can play with this little screw that is getting actually the tension on this metal thing. But the problem is that if you are going to do that, you have a lot of you have the possibility that you need to remember how much you turn it or make a sign, or I don't know, because otherwise maybe you have later problems when sewing with regular thread with your regular clothes. So it happens that I have on this machine, I bought it secondhand a while ago, I have a second bobbin case. So we are going to try, let me see, we are going to try this one and see how it's working. I don't know, I did not try it yet. I have the elastic on, so let's see how it's working. I'm just going to put it in, take my thread out, let's see. Yes, or not my thread, but my elastic thread actually. Okay. And I can feel already that it's going really, really, really hard. Actually, it's not going at all. So this is not going to give us anything because it's almost not moving here in the bobbin at the moment. So I'm just going to take this out. As you can see, it's really, really tight. and I'm going to try to put it in the other one. And if this one is also as tight, I can play with this one, because this one, but on this one is turning, you see that? So let's see, maybe is this one a little bit looser, and that's why it's also moving. Okay, let's try again, and let's see it from here what we have. Okay, I'm going to try onto the other side of the small chiffon we used for the other machine. Let's see, I have a straight stitch with a length of, let's say, 4. And let's see what we have here. If I am not wrong, but I have nothing to measure here. Yes, I do. Let's see how much I have on this one. This one has 8 millimeters from the center of the needle, so I'm going to use that as a guide for my lines. Okay, let's see. Where's my pedal? To start, and I just want to put my thing up. Yes. Okay, let's start again. Back stitch, and let's see what this is doing. Again, help it a little bit. Oh, I don't think it's liking the elastic. No, it doesn't like the elastic. I'm going to put a little bit higher the tension on my thread. I just put it higher, and I'm going to lower the stitch to a 3 to see what we get. It doesn't look so good, you see that? The thread, the bottom, the upper thread is really loose. So I'm going to, let's see, put the tension higher, put the stitch on 3. I'm just going to back stitch and just a little bit out in order to turn it. So this is not looking good. This is way too loose here, so this is not going to work. I'm going to turn it, and let's try again. So the tension is a little bit higher, and the stitch length a little bit lower. Okay. I think you can see it now even better with the yellow thread. Let's see. I think in this the most important thing is to make a lot of tests to try to see what is working best. This is not looking really bad if I compare with this one. Only I think now it can be to, if my thread just broke, I'm going to turn it and see a little bit lesser tension on my thread, and the stitch to the 3.5 again, and let's see. I'm not really happy how it's working on this machine, but let's not give up. because maybe you have also a machine that is going to give you a hard time. And of course it will be really pity not to have your sheared fabric just because your machine is misbehaving. Okay. Okay. Wheel up. Let's see what we have now. I think the stitches are really too small, and I think the problem is here just the bobbin that I did take care not to wind it too tight, but I think in combination with the bobbin case, I think it's just, I'm going to pull it out now, and let's try to mess a little bit with that screw, because I still believe that this is actually, it's not going really hard, but maybe turn it like a small bit only. Let's see. Okay, I have a screwdriver here. Okay, let's see. This is loose, and if I'm going to turn it back more, this is really loose, so that is not right. I have it 1 and 2, just a little bit. Yes. Okay, I'm just going to take it out one time to put the elastic back, because it's really not so much on this bobbin, and then I'll not have enough. Okay, let's see. Put it back. Okay. Okay. Well, let's try again. Okay, let's see. Of course, this is a bit more difficult because my fabric is also so flimsy, but this is something that is really nice to be used in sheer fabrics. Okay, let's see what we get now. I think this one is looking better. I think so. Yes, let's not pull too hard. Okay, let's put it up, just turn it to the other side, and let's take a look after this row. Yes. See. I think it's looking much better than our first attempt, so making that screw just a little bit looser, because otherwise it was really too tight and the elastic was stretching really too much. Take a few back stitches. Okay, let's take a short look here. All these threads, I really don't like working like this, but I think this is looking better. Let's see, take it just a little bit up and to the other side, and then I'm missing my knee handle on this one. Okay. And I think you get the idea. Follow the previous line and continue stitching the rest of your rows. I'm using regular thread in my bobbin, in my upper thread in my needle, and a universal needle, I think a little bit too thick for this fabric, but it will do for our purpose. Okay, and I think I'm going to make just one more. Just pull. You need to keep it here very tight at your last stitch. Turn it a little bit to the other side, and then begin a new row. 2 back stitches. And every few centimeters from your needle, or before your needle, try to stretch the work. Every time stitching over straight fabric and no wrinkles or gathers or stuff like that. Okay, let's see. Turn the wheel a little bit to release the thread, and let's see what we have. I think this looks nice. Definitely a good steam, and then and of course much more rows of gathering or shirring of stitching, and then you'll have a really nice gathered piece, even with a mechanic machine. So as you can see here, you see all the small holes. That is because my needle is really too thick for this kind of for this chiffon. But I think the result is nice. So what I did on this one was to loosen up a little bit the screw, and if you don't have a spare bobbin case, then you should really definitely keep in mind how much you turned, because you want to turn it back for your usual stitching. And I have my stitch length on almost 4 on this one, because here I have a dial, so it's not so easy to see exactly how much I have, but I think it's almost 4, 3.8 maybe, and I think it worked really, really nice. If we think that we started with this, let me take this tails away. We started with this little mess here on the back with really 2 loose stitches on the first row. I think this one is looking, with just a little bit small adjustment, is looking much better. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you did learn something new about shirring. As I said, back stitching at the end and at the beginning of the rows, and try to turn your work every time and take a place on your presser foot to align against the previous stitching line, and then you are ready to go without marking anything. But if you find it useful, you can always mark your rows. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see my full review of the Sienna dress, where I used this method, and also the clear elastic method I used for the gathering, that you can see in a video here on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!